Other news in brief now, and tributes have been paid to a 16-year-old boy from Dunmow in Essex who died after his mother's car plunged into a dyke and drowned in the accident in Lincolnshire last month. His mother, Rachel Woods, who was 6 months pregnant at the time, managed to rescue her 2-year-old daughter Isabella, but she was unable to help Jack without letting go of her daughter. Today, has been paying tribute to him at his local skate park.
He's a lovely character, always told the truth. That was one of his many perks. Very funny, and he was a great skater as well, and he's an amazing guy. Definitely will be missed.
Local MPs have been meeting the Transport Minister to discuss our trains. North Norfolk MP Norman Lamb was among those who met Theresa Villiers to press for an improved service between London and Norwich. The franchise is up for renewal next year after National Express was stripped of its licence.
It's really important for our economic future. If we invest in the infrastructure, then we can give the country economic growth. But it's so important for people who are regularly using the rail service, particularly the main line to London. It's not reliable enough. We've got second-hand rolling stock, second-hand locomotives. We need to get a first-class rail service, and we need to make sure that that's embedded in the new franchise.
The father of an RAF pilot from Norfolk killed when his helicopter crashed, killing 29 people, has welcomed a new inquiry to the crash.
The family of Jonathan Tapper, who was found guilty of gross negligence, has campaigned for his name to be cleared since the accident in Scotland back in 1994. Kate Prout has the story now.
After 15 years of campaigning, Mike Tapper can finally see light at the end of the tunnel. In June 1994, a Chinook helicopter, co-piloted by his son, Flight Lieutenant Jonathan Tapper, crashed into a hillside near the Mull of Kintyre lighthouse in thick fog. All 29 on board were killed. An RAF Board of Inquiry ruled that the pilots were guilty of gross negligence for flying too low and too fast. Today's news, a very welcome development.
I'm delighted, and the word is independent. That is up with the MOD. It's been a very long haul, and it's taken a tremendous toll on our family. But nevertheless, it's been worthwhile because at the end of the day, the honour of our son is at stake.
In the Commons today, the Deputy Prime Minister ordered an independent review of the crash. Nick Clegg said a respected lawyer would lead the inquiry.
And I hope the review will be welcomed by the families of those who died in this tragic accident. To ensure its complete independence, the review will be conducted by a respected lawyer who is independent of the government and who has not previously expressed a view on the disaster. The reviewer and the precise terms of reference will be announced soon.
Earlier this year, new evidence came to light which seemed to indicate the aircraft computer system may have been faulty. Mike Tapper will be hoping that this inquiry will finally lay his son's reputation to rest. Kate Prout, Anglia News.
Now, we've heard within the last hour that the Essex and Pakistan cricketer Danish Kaneria has been released without charge after being arrested over alleged betting irregularities. The 29-year-old spin bowler was arrested in May on suspicion of fraud. He's now been released from his bail without charge. The pace bowler Mervyn Westfield was also arrested on suspicion of fraud, and he does remain on police bail.
Bailiffs have been continuing to clear an unauthorised travellers' site in Essex today.
But while 7 plots on Hofields Drive in Wickford have been cleared, 4 of the families evicted have now moved to a car park in nearby Basildon. Tom Barton's been following today's developments.
They've set up home, but not for long. These travellers were among a number of families evicted from the Hofields Avenue site near Basildon yesterday. Today they were parked in a car park on the edge of the town.
These travellers say after they were evicted from Hofields yesterday, they had nowhere to go, so they came to this private car park. They've now been told they have to leave here. The question is, where do they go next?
Police ordered the travellers to leave the site by lunchtime. The travellers said they have nowhere to go.
Councillors come in yesterday and evicted us and dragged us and basically just dug our land up and ripped it all apart. And it's our own land that's privately owned. And now they've chucked us out into the road. We've nowhere else to go. There's no sites for us. They're telling the council centre that there's no vacancy in sites. There's no houses in the areas. There's an overflow and there's just nowhere for us to put us.
A human rights lawyer from Essex University in Colchester claims yesterday's eviction broke international laws and treaties.
Oh, this is a forced eviction qualified under international human rights law. What means that people were against their will rendered homeless, and the council is in breach of their of the international obligations.
The travellers were on land that they owned. Some of them today are staying on private land that they're not allowed to be on at all. This was inevitable, really, after you moved them off the Hofield site, wasn't it?
It was, and the police take primacy now on land which isn't owned by the travellers who are there. They have powers under trespass, and they'll be liaising with the owners of that land to see what steps need to be taken.
It's a far from ideal situation, though, just moving people around and around from private land to private land.
It is far from ideal. I absolutely agree, but we have planning laws, and the site was greenbelt. It didn't have planning permission. We had permission from the courts that the site must be cleared, and that's what we had to do.
Tonight, as the travellers prepared to leave their temporary home, they said they were still searching for somewhere else to go. Tom Barton, Anglia News, Basildon.
Let's just go on 6:15. You're watching Anglia Tonight.
Still to come between now and 6:30.
Food for thought, the serious medical condition affecting tens of thousands of people who don't yet know it.
A star comes home. Her mum knows who she is, but do you?
And it was a rather grey day over at Fulbourn in Cambridgeshire earlier, and a few places did see some outbreaks of rain during this afternoon, but it does look like things are more promising for you tomorrow. Join me later for the full details.